Well, you're in luck, Dan. You won't have to wait long. The 70s. We'll be back very, very soon. Hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to Storm Talk. I'm with meteorologist Brian Good. 45 minutes after the hour. Happy Thursday, Friday Eve, everybody, on the 7th day of March. All right. There's not a lot of thunderstorm action to talk about. The next wave of systems coming in, which is good. That cuts down on any, obviously, severe risk. I can't rule out some lightning and thunder, but that looks to be the limit on this setup. More so of an issue, just bands of heavy rain. And for those of you that got the most of the heavy rain from the last round, which is going to be mainly across southern Indiana to near the Louisville metro, especially across the river, that's the area we're watching where we could see quite a bit of additional rainfall, about 1 inch to 2 inches, if not even a touch more. That may put you guys into a flood status for part of the weekend. So if you have picked up more than 1.5 inches rain, especially from the last round, you need to pay extra attention to the setup here for the next couple of days. Then we'll get into the longer term, which will get you toward St. Patrick's Day. We'll mention the parade, but also St. Patrick's Day itself, which is always a week later, and how there could be some interesting changes for the month of March is even over with. All right, a lot to cover. So we'll start with the current setup outside. Yeah, another cloudy and a gloomy day. We're getting to be professionals at this. We've had some really nice, sunny, warm days mixed in. So it doesn't stay like this all the time like you would in, say, January. So this is nice. But a good setup. I wouldn't roll out 1 or 2 hints of sun. It is possible as we head into later on for the morning hours. In fact, you can already see some of the thinning taking place not too far away from the Hoosier National Forest, although it is starting to fill back in fairly quick with high clouds. So if you were to see any sun breaks today, it would not be a perfectly patch of blue. It would be just some thinning of the clouds and about brightening of the sky, if you will. And that's about it. So not the best looking of days, but the radar is going to remain quiet today. And temperatures will still be around 60. So it could be worse. It could certainly be worse. Our attention quickly shifts to the west, where our next systems are lining up for us. You can see it bring back into St. Louis, back into the rest of the Show Me State, all the way into Arkansas, where there are moderate pockets of rain. Here is what is complex about this system, though, as it moves in. It's actually 2 different systems that will be moving our way. And because it is split, sharing the pathway movement through the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and the Deep South, that does cut down on the severe potential quite a bit, especially in areas near and north of the paths that both will end up taking, mainly because they both are working against each other on allowing for a lot of warm air to get funneled into the Ohio River Valley, and any amount of sunshine gets limited. So you don't have a really good warm sector to work with showers and thunderstorms for that reason. So it's the reason why the severe risk is quite low in this environment. does pick up where you're south still of the low pressure. So still an issue for the deep south where they're likely still have most of your severe action take place. But because we are in a more northerly side of this whole entire process, we need to watch the rainfall forecast carefully as these move through, especially the southern piece, as there could be some locally heavy rainfall on the northern side. On the southern portion of that, there's a flood watch. It's already out into Alabama, into Atlanta metro area. We are in the outlook for at least some potential for flash flooding as early as tomorrow night that could develop some of the downpours, and this carries over into early on Saturday morning. Similar story, Saturday daytime. If I were to advance this a little further, it would show the low wind risk just north and east of Louisville, kind of moving away from us as the low pulls away. So no doubt, this is the worst of the severe weather and your flash flooding potential. All that's going to be in the deep south, I-20 to I-10. All right. Here locally, our issue is going to be the southern piece of that low pressure as it moves on by. Depending on its track, will determine whether or not you see less than a half inch of rain Friday night and Saturday or more than 2 inches. It will be that fairly dramatic of a range as it moves in. So let me show you one of the high-res models we're looking at, and we'll get a lot more data tomorrow, thank goodness. But today we got at least some idea of how this will trend. Today, all about the clouds, near 60, no problem. The rain for the first piece that arrives tomorrow could begin as early as the morning drive tomorrow. It is possible. I don't see this being overly heavy, just enough to get the roads wet. And some of the modeling as fast as 3 a.m., some as late as 8 a.m. When this first little wave of showers moves in. So roughly around rush hour or sunrise, we should have some of these showers approaching. Once it passes by, the outlook for rain tomorrow does look to be very much off and on. There will be some rumbles of thunder mixed in, but more convective look to the downpours. And what I mean by that is that it will not be a big rain shield. It'll be a little more spotty in nature, some briefly intense as far as moderate to briefly heavy rainfall, again, a little bit of lightning, and then you're back to either light drizzle or it just ends altogether. So there will be some dry time mixed in on your Friday, but when you get a downpour, it could be a fairly hefty one as you drive around town. So use some caution as these will be scattered about. These, again, will just start to build up some of the rain totals in the area, but this is not a widespread rainfall. What we're watching is more so Friday nights when you're heading to bed into early on Saturday morning. This is where the low pressure itself, the southern piece, begins to now lift into Kentucky. Now, earlier this week, the modeling was trying to push this low a little further into Illinois and Indianapolis. That would have put us in a little more of a zone for a warm sector and to get some showers and storms that could form into central Kentucky. But the agreement in the past 24 hours, no doubt, has been the low pressure itself more over us and make its journey into Ohio. But that presents a whole other problem, as I mentioned, because along the path of low pressure itself and where the showers and storms are ongoing across Atlanta, Georgia, into the Carolinas and Smoky Mountains, there is a gap in between. That's pretty typical to see that. So your rainfall amounts in between the two zones will be lower. But if you're in that path along the low pressure itself on its track, that's where you could get some more of a banding look to the rainfall that could be locally enhanced as it moves on by. Question is, where will that be? Because that is still waffling a bit. Some of the modeling brings that rain band, the heaviest of maybe up to 2 inches, a touch more, Illinois, Indiana into Ohio. Some bring it right over Louisville into central Kentucky into Ohio. So there's still quite a bit of a waffling going on there on that rain band because the track of the low still has to be determined on that one. So why looking far back on paper, this doesn't look like to be a significant change back and forth. When you get into the finer details, that rain band will be significant as far as impacts and leading to at least some minor flooding that could develop as it leaves town. Now, the question is, how will this impact the St. Patrick's Parade in the Highlands? Type 1 if you're going to that. It's at 3 o'clock, I think, on Saturday. It's always the weekend before St. Patrick's Day. Here's the issue with that. Yes, we've got the heavier rain that will expand on the radar Friday night, early Saturday, but the low pressure will be on its way, leaving town roughly between 1 and about 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday. It'll be on its way out, heading towards Cincinnati, Ohio. So the rain intensity should be on its way down as we head toward parade time on Saturday. Still some heavier rain in the morning and then dialing back slowly. It may not be a rapid shut off on the intensity. It may just ease back to drizzle but it should be dialing back. But something else that'll be dialing back, kind of a bummer here, is the temperature will be dialing back at the same time. We may reach our high in the 50s, mid 50s at that, roughly around 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. And by the time we get to parade time, we may be roughly 46 to 48 with a decent wind. So the wind chill will be about 38 to 39 for parade time on Saturday. So I think the issue here is that we don't have to worry about severe weather now for the parade. That's good. I don't see a lot of heavy rain right now for the parade. That's good. But the temperature and the wind chill will be a bit of a bummer. Having said that, I've been to this parade several times, as many of you have, and the weather has always been very wacky for the parade. I have been out there when it's been 75 degrees and sunny, absolutely incredibly packed out there. I've been out there on cold, rainy days. I've been out there for snow. It is varied a lot. And that's typical when you get into the first couple of weeks of March. You never know what you're going to get, right? So it's when you look at all the other weather events we've had for the parade, this one actually will be a little bit of a nuisance, but not to the point where I think it's going to keep a lot of people home. As long as you dress for the chilly air, dress for that wind chill. That's the main thing. The rainfall part, as long as we get that to dial back the drizzle, I think we'll be all right, and get the lightning to stay away, which looks to be the case. Then everything else is manageable. And there's so many places you can go inside anyway, if you were to get a heavier shower, that you can chill out in before the rain eases back down to drizzle and you get back outside again and watch the parade. So there's a lot of options, which is kind of unique about the parade and the Highlands there. All right, so that's Saturday. We will get cold Saturday night, likely near freezing, if not a touch below it. And then Sunday looks to be just a chilly day, but a nice looking day. I think we'll be in the 40s to maybe touching 50 or so in the afternoon, but it will be at least partly sunny. So Sunday will look better, but it will still be a cool day. So rainfall forecast. I thought I had that in here. Hold on one second. I did. I put it in the wrong spot. Hold on. I'm being a boomer right now. I'm being a boomer. Okay. So this is one of the model's ideas on rainfall forecast for this event. I wouldn't pay too much attention to the exact numbers, more so than the colors. And you can see what it's doing. It just doesn't know what to do with that heavier rain band that forms on the northwest side of the track of the low that'll be moving across Kentucky. Again, if it's a little more south, then this band of heavier rain is going to be a little more over Louisville and central Kentucky. If it's a little more northwest, obviously it'll be shift more northwest. So there's still some work that needs to be done on rain totals, but just know the potential is there to at least get some minor flooding. Again, the easiest way I can look at it and explain to you all is you've picked up at least 1.5 inches of rain in the past week in your area on your rain gauge, then you need to watch this carefully and see how this plays out. Yes, good point from Angie. Don't forget, set your clocks ahead 1 hour. We lose an hour of sleep. Isn't that fantastic? So there you go. If you want to sleep in on Sunday, to try to adjust that, there you go. What happens after that? Well, this is where Dan, you made your comment earlier about the 70s. This is where Dan's going to be happy. We do get into some quiet weather. We'll start in the 60s. We'll jump into the 70s early next week. No doubt. If you have anything you need to take care of outside, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe even Thursday, look good. There is one little wrinkle in that thinking, and there's a little low pressure that'll move right across the Great Lakes. You see it right there as we head into late Tuesday into Wednesday. It's fast, more like a clipper, if you will. So far, it looks like it'll be just out of reach from our area to where it won't bother us, but it'll be fast. That's the only little bump we could have in the forecast change, that if this were to trend more south, that would change things up. But right now, again, the thinking is it'll stay north, and that will buy us a good 3, maybe 4 days of dry weather and actually fairly decent. So then what happens after that? Well, if you guys haven't noticed, we are stuck in a weather pattern where weekends keep getting involved, especially the first part of the weekends. Well, the next system is no different. It will likely be another 2-system idea moving through the area, 2 different lows, one north, one south. How they interact in our area is still got to be fine-tuned. I thought I could say that a lot. But that will likely bring rain into the area for next Saturday. After that, that is the rain snow line aloft that is showing up. And this is the Euro. Yeah, we do drop near St. Patrick's Day itself. We do see a sign of a colder pocket of air. In fact, a lot of the modeling is hinting this colder pocket of air. Now, is this going to be enough to get us a late season, little wet snow chance later this month? Yes, that is on the table. I think it's possible. But as far as brutally cold Arctic air, no. It's not to that level, and those days are over for us for the season. But we could still get cold enough to where wintry weather could be involved, at least in the Ohio Valley. Whether or not it's here, I don't know yet. But I do think that for those of you who are trying to get that green thumb going early and you're wanting to get out there and plant, just use some caution as we head through the rest of March. As it does look like some colder air will move in. I'm hoping this will be out of the area just in time for the eclipse on April the 8th. There are signs of a warming trend between April 5th through the 10th. That period, there is a warm signal that builds in. But will the 8th be and the cooling go into warming, or will we already be warm by the 8th? That's a good question. I'm trying to watch that and figure that out myself on a daily basis. Plenty of time to watch it, though. Aaron is bored. Sorry, Aaron. Sorry about that. I know it's not a very exciting weather pattern. It's not very exciting. I get it. But hey, you know what? At least we're getting some beneficial rain to put us in a good spot for the spring season. That would be good. We don't want too much of it to influence the Great Lawn for Thunder and all the events with everyone being downtown. But it's nice to see that we're at least not talking about a drought. So there's a plus there. Kathy, did you say snow? Yeah, again, I don't want to get all excited about that yet. Just letting you know that it gets cold enough that I think that can't be escaped. As much as many people are trying to take it out of the equation, I get that, because we've seen the teases of cold weather and it snow several times this season, haven't we? And we get closer and they begin to fade away. So this one may do the same. All I can tell you is what the data is showing now, and it's take it one step at a time. That's not the big story today, though. Big story is the heavy rain Friday night into Saturday. Let's see. Are we okay to set our hoses out? That's a good question, Richard. And no, I do not think that's the case. Only because even at frost level, you run into problems with the line potentially breaking right at the spigot into the water line. So that potential takes usually until about the first week of May to get us completely out of that danger. Now, this year could be, every year is different, right? And this year could be different. But I would say at least right now, it's going to take until April before we can say that you're out of that zone or danger altogether. We're getting closer. We're getting closer. Everyone should have noticed their yards turning greener. You're sneezing more. The pollen's getting more prevalent in the area. So all the changes are happening. The next 2 to 3 weeks, usually we see the most dramatic of change. All right. Hang tight. We'll see how it looks. I'll look over the new stuff and we'll get a better idea on the timing and rainfall placement for the Friday night and Saturday wave coming up starting on midday. I'll see you guys then. Take care.